Welcome everybody, hope you're doing well. Back to Basics Podcast. Here today with Robbie Meierdirks once again.
Hey everybody.
Hi, Dr. Nick. Today we're going to be discussing some new rules changing that are about to take effect on July 13th.
2013.
Yeah, so if you're listening to this after that date, well, the rules are already in effect. But if it's
depending
before,
how far you're listening, they might have already been replaced.
That's true. Wizards is like, this was a terrible idea. Let's go back.
This is just even better idea. Let's just change it more.
That would never happen. Wizards wouldn't do that.
No, it's not like Wizards hasn't changed its mind on the Legend Rule a million times. Which they did again.
Spoilers, man. Spoilers. Well, I guess it's the first thing we're going to talk about, though. So, yeah, Legend Rule. What's changing about the Legend Rule?
Alright, so the Legend Rule, as it stands now, if two legends are on the battlefield of the same name, they both die. What'll be true post-July 13 is if two legends are on the battlefield at the same time, assuming one player does not control both of them, they'll both stay on the battlefield. So both player can control a Geist of St. Traft.
Okay. So, before, it would be like, I have a Geist, I play a Geist, it creates a paradox, they both die.
Yeah, well, I have a Geist, you have a Geist, you play a Geist.
Right.
Yeah, so they can both stay on the battlefield dead.
No, this is before. Because
Yeah, no, I'm saying now they both die, yeah.
And then, if I have a Geist and you play a Geist, they both die.
Yes.
That's rules now. So now, the rules are...
now, yes.
Well...
Prior to July 13th.
Effective July 13th, the rules stand as, I have a Geist, you play a Geist, everything's cool, there's no more paradox. There's like a paradox wall.
Yep. The way they're describing it to me that I've been reading, and
Yes, Wizards is calling you.
Well, I do get judge emails.
That's true.
So the way that I'm interpreting it is, essentially the battlefield was one zone before, and now it's essentially being broken into two zones of your battlefield and your opponent's battlefield.
I see.
As being two separate zones now of the game. The other thing that's changing in them is if you play a legend, we're going to stick with Geist of St. Traft as our example here. If you have Geist of St. Traft attack out, and you attack with it, and then in your second main phase, you play a second Geist of St. Traft, you can choose which one to keep, so you can get rid of your tapped one and have your untapped one back to block if you really want to be blocking with Geist of St. Traft for whatever reason.
Right. Or you could use Planeswalker twice.
Yes, now Planeswalkers are getting the same upgrade as Legends. So both players can have Planeswalker Jace or Planeswalker Garruk is what I'm going to be talking about as for my example on the battlefield.
Okay.
It also has the same upkeep, same ability of if you play a second Planeswalker of the same Planeswalker uniqueness, so Garruk or whatever, talking about Garruk for now, so Garruk Primal Hunter. So you have a Garruk Primal Hunter at 7 loyalty. You -6 it to get your worms for each land you control. And then you play another Garruk Primal Hunter. By the current rules, they would both die.
Right.
By the post-July 13 rules, you get to pick which one to keep. So you can choose to keep the new Garruk, and then use immediately either -3 it to draw your 6 cards, or +1 it to put a 3/3 beast into play.
Right.
Now, the cards this most negatively affects are clone effects.
Clone effects, huh?
Clone. Because clone was actually being played, different kind of clone effects were being played as a way to get rid of your opponent's Geist of St. Traft. So you can play yours.
Right.
So...
Now that doesn't work.
Now that doesn't work.
Great!
But it is more into the flavor of the game, of the fact that a clone is not supposed to be removal. Situational removal is supposed to be a copy of a creature.
I guess so. But I kind of like the Legend Rule, where it was like, there can only be one.
I like that too, and I kind of did like the idea that you had to play around how many Planeswalkers, how many Legends you're going to put in your deck. Especially Planeswalkers.
Yeah.
Because your hand gets flooded with them. If you're playing too many of the same Planeswalker. So you don't have to build around that as much anymore. But I do like the fact now that you don't get penalized for playing Planeswalkers and drawing them.
And you don't have to worry about your opponent's Planeswalkers anymore.
At all, really.
Yeah, so I guess it made it a little easier, but it's just like, instead of...
It's just like damage and stack on mana burn, Tim. We'll get used to it.
Yeah, I get it. I know. I know. We've adjusted to worse. But it's like, now instead of creating a paradox, it's like the battlefields are parallel universes or parallel battlefields.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, they're different zones.
Parallel battlefields. That, like, you planes walk over, you know?
Yeah. That's fine. That's in the spirit of the game. You planeswalk over
and
hit him in the face.
I'm just making it so I can understand the lore, you know? Because I hated the fact that damage went on the stack in, like, Mog Fanatic.
Oh, I love damage on the stack. I miss damage on the stack.
As, like, doing good things with it and doing creative things with it, that's awesome. And you can really next level your game with it. But at the same time, it doesn't make sense in my head of, you know, the lore of it or anything. You know, I'm going to hit you, but then I'm going to do something else before I hit you.
The idea of combat, of damage on the stack, was just that everything pretty much stacked at that point.
Right.
So the idea was the stack was just where everything went to resolve. And so damage they put on the stack. And
yeah, but it was like, okay, I'm dead. Now I'm going to hit you.
I like things that add another layer to the game. And having to worry about damage on the stack and being able to play tricks with it, it added another level to the game.
I'm not arguing with that. I'm just saying it was bad for the lore.
Fair enough.
Like, I loved playing Mog Fanatic. You know, it was one of my favorite cards. And Goblins. It's just, every time I did it, I would have like a little, this is messed up. I'm like cheating right now.
Now, Mana Burn completely made one card useless.
Mana Drain?
No. Mana Drain's so much better.
Psychic Drain?
No.
What's the counter spell?
Power Surge.
Power Surge, yeah.
No, it's not a counter spell, it's an enchantment. And Power Surge says, at the beginning of your upkeep, for every land you control that was untapped at the end of your opponent's turn, take 1 damage.
No.
Well, so...
Oh, yeah, that just...
That card doesn't do anything. Like,
well, unless, like... You know, you want your opponent to be tapped out so you can play a spell. So there's still that, but it's not nearly as effective. But anyway, it's not really relevant to what...
Yeah, not even a little bit relevant, but...
We don't get sidetracked ever. So, second change in the rules is the sideboard rules are going to change a little bit.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
They're actually going to change drastically. This is the first time they've changed the sideboard rules for Constructed.
Yeah, I can't recall anything.
Sideboard has always been, as far as I know, your sideboard is exactly 15 cards, and you trade in cards out of your deck after game 1 at a 1-for-1 basis. So for every card you put in, you have to take 1 card out. Now, sideboard is, it can only be 15 cards, but it can be less, and you don't have to trade cards out for a 1-for-1 basis. So for examples, if you have a 15-card sideboard, and you want to put all 15 in and play with a 75-card deck, you can now. If you're playing with a 62-card regular deck and a 13-card sideboard, games 2 and 3, you can take out 2 cards, put them in your sideboard, because your deck is still at least 60 cards and your sideboard's no more than 15.
Right.
So as long as those 2 requirements are met, is your sideboard's never more than 15 cards, your deck's never less than 60, your sideboard's legal.
I see this coming up as a power play that someone's going to do when they're playing against mirror control matches where it's basically going to stall out every time. You know how, like, Callblade stalled out and it was just like draw go for a million turns or 5cc?
Yeah.
So you add 1 more card in. So you have that 1 extra card so they get decked.
Oh, yeah, okay. I thought you were saying, like, putting up 15 more cards.
No.
By that point, your odds of drawing the cards you want to draw are so small.
Just that 1 extra card. So, like, you were on the play, you put 1 more card in, and then...
The reason they did this is to essentially make it closer to limited style sideboard rules. To the closer they can bring constructed rules and limited rules together, the happier they are because the less confusing it is for new players.
Right.
How often is that going to change at a Grand Prix, constructed Grand Prix?
Yeah, I'll probably still 1-for-1 everything.
And you'll still have your 15-card sideboard.
Right.
Yeah. So it's not going to change the way players play, but it's going to change the way new players understand how sideboarding works.
Yeah, and I like
it works the same way in limited as it does in constructed.
And I like it. It just it makes sense. It's like you have a 75 card. Well, assuming you have 60, you have 75 cards to play with now. You know, you want to play with all of them? Go for it. Your minimum is 60.
As long as if you're playing a deck list tournament, make sure your deck list is the same at the start of every game 1.
60 and 15 still. But if you want to play 60 and 1, I hated. Okay, I only have 10 cards for my sideboard because I can't think of anything else. I don't really need anything else, or I don't have cards I want. So now I have to add 5 forest.
Or worse, you add 5 other cards that aren't forest. Like, this might be situationally useful, and then you think that card's going to be situationally useful in this matchup, and you board it in, and you're like, I was wrong. I was wrong. Like, that's happened to me a lot. Been like, okay, I got these 12 cards. These are what I really need to deal with my 2 problem decks.
Right.
What are my other 3 slots going to be? This card could be situationally useful, so I'll put that in. And then I'll think I'm in that situation. Like, I'm going to board this in.
This is so good.
This is so good. And I played it. I'm like, this was awful.
This is just literally sitting in my hand. What was I thinking?
If I play this card, I lose. Why am I?
Why did I side in Phage?
In a reanimator deck.
Oh, man. Okay, so item number 3.
Okay, indestructible is now a keyword.
Keyword.
So, some of you are probably going, yeah, wasn't it before? The answer is no.
Gasp.
Here is how indestructible currently works, currently being prior to July 13th, time of this podcast.
We covered that.
Okay. So, right now, if you play a card, Rootborn Defense, okay?
Yeah.
Populate all your creatures indestructible.
Yep.
And then you were to play another creature, that creature be indestructible because the Rootborn Defense is not giving that ability to your creatures. It's creating like a static indestructibility shield for that turn.
Yeah.
Similar to the way unblockable works, because unblockable is not a keyword either.
Okay.
So any new creatures, if a card gave everything unblockable, made everything unblockable in the turn, would also be unblockable that turn.
So we foreshadowing for the future for unblockable becoming a keyword?
Actually no. In one of the articles they printed, they said that unblockable is definitely not now or in the foreseeable future going to be a keyword.
Really?
Yes, they said there are too many cards in the past that gave unblockable-like abilities to make it a keyword.
Huh, okay. That's fair. Indestructibility wasn't around until Darksteel.
Yeah.
Or Mirrodin.
Darksteel. Yeah. For a long time, everything that was indestructible had the word Darksteel in it.
Right. Yeah. That's how you knew it was indestructible.
Yeah. Does it say Darksteel?
Yeah, everything was Darksteel. I mean, that was like just Dragonsteel. Except dark. Never mind. Go on.
So, that's how that works now. And another thing that to remember in this is, or how it's going to work now, post-July 13, is that any creature that comes into, because it'll say gains indestructible, any creature that comes into play after you playing that Rootborn Defense will not be indestructible.
Because in Rootborn Defense now, or after July 13th, will say creatures you control gain indestructibility. Or
gain indestructible, yeah. Indestructibility, whatever you want to call it.
Right. And then when you play that second creature or that other creature enters the battlefield, it wasn't around to gain that ability.
Correct.
That keyword.
That keyword, yes.
Right, it's not an ability.
No, it's a keyword ability.
Oh. Wow, that's confusing. Okay.
If you're a keyword, you're an ability. If you're not a keyword, you could be an ability, but you're probably not an ability.
Okay.
Like some things are like activated abilities aren't a keyword. Like there isn't a keyword Tim or Ping.
Right.
There
should be.
There should be, yeah. Should be Ping.
Yeah. That'd be cool.
Now, some people think, well, this just got worse.
Really?
Well, how did it get better if the creatures you play after you play the card are not indestructible with it?
I think it just makes more sense now.
But the ability itself sounds like it got worse, though, doesn't it?
Well, for Rootborn Defense, yeah.
Or for any instant speed indestructibility things.
Okay.
For anything that's giving all your stuff indestructible. There's also Boar's Charm or several things.
So something like, what's the card? Loses all abilities, becomes an 0/1.
Humble,
yeah. That gets rid of indestructible? No.
Now it does. Or it will as of July 13th.
Right. Now from now on, meaning new post rules.
Okay.
We keep saying that.
Yeah. July 13th on, humility will get rid of indestructibility because it's keyword ability.
Right. But
before July 13th,
it wouldn't.
Okay. It would just kind of have like a static shield.
Okay.
And it also depends how they got the indestructibility and what layer it's interacting on.
Really?
Yes. Add lose abilities interact on different layers. If the creature naturally had indestructibility, it would lose it. If there was something layering on top of the humility to give it indestructibility, it wouldn't lose it. So, for example, for Rootborn Defense, it wouldn't lose it. It would be like laying a humility on a creature that was giant growth that turn. It's just affecting its base power and toughness, not anything that's layered above the humility pumping it.
Okay, so if you play giant growth and then humility, it's 3/4.
Yes.
If I play humility, then giant growth, it's 3/4.
Yes. Because the giant growth is layered on top of it.
Okay. Makes
sense. So it all depends on how you layer, on what layer things are interacting in.
Right. So it all depends on who's on top.
Yes.
Always be on top.
Yes. Always be on top.
Mm-hmm. What was that for? There was no innuendo there.
No, but here's where actually indestructibility, because it would have been indestructible before as well.
Okay.
Okay, because indestructible wasn't an ability, it was a characteristic of a card or a characteristic that was being given to the card. Okay.
I'm going to pretend like I knew what you said. Go on.
So now, let's say you have two generic 3/3s. Okay?
That's usually the case.
Okay. Your opponent plays Active Treason on one of your generic 3/3s.
What a sack.
You respond, and Rootborn Defense, making both your dudes indestructible. Well, now before July 13, if you do that, and he takes that 3/3, since you no longer control that 3/3, it's not indestructible.
Right, because it leaves the shield. Okay.
But now, since it's gaining that ability, when he takes control of it, it'll have that ability, so when he swings in with it, you can block with your indestructible 3/3s, they bounce off, and you get both your 3/3s back.
Interesting.
So...
Pros and cons to everything.
Pros and cons to everything, yeah.
I like that. I didn't think of that. Wow, huh. Take that, Active Treason.
You just got almost just slightly worse.
Yeah.
Really, actually, no, because by the time these rule changes take effect, we're going to start drafting M14 and stop drafting Gatecrash, Dragon Maze Ravnica. So they won't ever be drafted together again.
Right, but...
And the odds of that happening in Standard are astronomically thin.
Well, there probably will be an Active Treason in M14.
But there probably will be a Rootborn Defense.
No, but maybe an effect that, like the Warl's Charm, or probably not something as good as Warl's Charm, but something that gives...
There could be an indestructibility
indestructible,
you know. There could be.
Just target creature gains indestructible, you know.
But that wouldn't be as good in the 2-3-3 scenario.
Okay, yeah. You know what I'm saying. It could happen. There
could be a card that says 2 target creatures gain indestructibility.
Or your creatures, you know, they could...
There will probably be something in M14 that says gains indestructibility to put it as a keyword out there, so people see it as a keyword.
Right, and just remove the populate.
Yeah, it could just be a 2-mana Rootborn Defense.
Right.
It's 1 mana cheaper, but doesn't have populate.
That wouldn't be that broken.
No.
And that makes sense for a new keyword, and they want to explain it, especially in an M set.
Now,
a core set.
You want to hear a rule that's changing that no one knew was a rule?
Of course.
How you play lands.
I know how to play lands already, Robbie.
You think you know how to play lands already. But do you know how to play lands when you have an Oracle of Moldiah out?
Jeez, Robbie. Why don't you tell me? I feel like this is one of those cheesy infomercials. You know, it shows like.
But before we talked on the phone and I explained this, did you know?
No,
how
I
this
didn't.
worked? Okay.
No, so, but still, the way we just set that up,
Okay.
it's like those commercials where it's like they're black and white, and it shows some woman, and she's like opening up a cabinet, and then all of her like
stuff falls out.
all of her, those cans of. Not cans, those Tupperware things.
Yeah.
Just fall out. It's just like, oh no.
What am I gonna do? I can't stack square objects because I'm a woman.
And then it goes to color. That's how I should edit this, but I won't. So anyway, sorry.
Anyway, yeah, back on the point. So most of you probably did not know that if you had a card that let you play additional land a turn, we're using Oracle Moldai as an example, you've been playing your land wrong. Ooh. Because,
bold statement, sir.
Because
it's an accusatory statement.
Well, most people just say, I have 2 land plays for the turn, play my land, play my second land for the turn.
Right, they don't say anything else.
Yes. When you play your land for the turn, as of pre-July 13 rule change, so pre-July 13, how you do it is you say, okay, I'm Oracle Monday out. I'm playing this land, and you have to announce whether that's the land for your turn or your additional land drop.
Okay.
So, say you do it smart and play your additional land drop first, because you can't lose your land for your turn.
Right. Okay.
And then you play your land for your turn.
Okay.
And then you unsummon your Oracle of Moldiah. And then you replay your Oracle of Moldiah. Well, it's giving you another additional land drop because it's a new object, so you go ahead and play your third land.
Okay. So I have a question after hearing that. I don't understand why that order matters.
Well, let's assume you didn't go land, unsummon, or land.
So, okay,
let's say you did.
Let me walk you through what I think. I play land. I'd say it's my first land. Like, what is it called? Main land?
Your land for the turn.
Land for the turn. Then I play another land announcing that it's my second land, my additional land for the turn.
Okay.
I unsummon.
Okay.
I play it again.
Mm-hmm.
Why wouldn't I get another additional land?
You do get additional land currently.
Okay.
Under February 13th, you get additional land because it's a new object giving additional land.
Okay.
What I'm saying is the reason you want to play your additional land first is, okay, so say you play your additional land first. And you're not quite sure if you're wanting to unsummon your Oracle Moldiah this turn.
Oh, it might.
You're going to run out another creature.
Okay.
You're going to run another creature, and they respond to that creature by killing your Oracle Moldiah. If you played your land for your turn first, you lost your additional land play.
Okay.
If you play additional land first, you still have your land for the turn play.
Okay, so you could have been like...
If you play your land for the turn first and play any other spell,
right,
they're given a chance to kill your Oracle Moldiah, and you might lose your additional land.
I don't know why you would do that, though. Like, me, I would be like, land, okay, additional land, try to play Oracle Moldiah, and then they're like, okay, responsible. You still get your additional land, right?
What do you mean? They can't respond to your additional land. You can't respond to someone playing a land.
No. Land.
Okay.
Try to play new Oracle Moldiah. No.
You're unsummoning.
Yeah,
You're playing the same Oracle Moldiah again.
Okay, right. Okay.
So this is the reason it's the same Oracle Moldiah is important.
Right, unsummon, they respond bolt, and then...
You play your 2 lands, so you're done.
Right.
If you play the Oracle Moldiah again, you'll get to play a third land because it's a new object giving you another additional land drop.
Okay, so you're just ensuring that you get your 2 lands.
Yes, in case you want to play another spell. You should, prior to July 13, you should always play your additional land first.
Okay. Because
they are different.
But what about after July 13th?
After July 13th, it now just counts the number of total land plays you have in a turn. So, let's set the same scenario.
Okay.
I have an Oracle Moldiah. I play 2 lands.
Go ahead.
Because I have 2 land plays, correct?
Right.
I unsummon that Oracle Moldiah.
You have 1 land.
Play the Oracle Moldiah.
You have 2.
How many lands have I played this turn?
You've played 2.
Played 2. Out of land plays.
Blown out.
Blown out, yep. Yep, you just wasted 5 mana on unsummon.
Yeah. Well, maybe, no. You just wasted it.
Yeah. Unless it was, yeah. We didn't put any other cards in there as...
That's all you did. That's all that was on the battlefield.
Yep.
And lands. So, yeah, you just wasted, because... Do you like that rule change?
I do because I think most people played that way anyway.
Yeah.
I think when you're making a common sense rules change, like the one thing I think they need to do, and they haven't done yet, and I don't think they ever will do, is they need to change how cards that gave lifelink prior to lifelink work, so they give lifelink.
What?
Okay, so before lifelink was a keyword ability, you had certain cards like Armadillo Cloak, right?
Right.
And you have the new card, Unflinching Courage, which is Armadillo Cloak, pretty much, right?
Okay.
Do you know the difference between them?
Trample?
No, no one gets trample. +2/+2 trample lifelink is what Unflinching Courage does.
Oh, right. Nope.
Lifelink is not a stacked-based effect. Lifelink does not go in the stack. So something like lifelink will save you from dying to combat damage if you would gain enough life to stay alive.
Okay, yeah. That makes
Armadillo
sense.
Cloak is saying whenever this creature deals damage, you gain that much life. Which is exactly what lifelink says, except it doesn't have the keyword, so it's creating a stack-based effect, which has a pro and a negative.
Right.
The negative is it can't save you from combat damage, but the pro is if you have 2 Armadillo Cloaks on a creature, you'll gain double the life. Because each will go on the stack.
Right.
Well, lifelink doesn't create a stats-based effect.
So you only get it once.
So you only gain it once.
Interesting.
Now, they should just change it all to lifelink.
Right.
Because I guarantee you, 80% of the people who actually play Armadillo Cloak treat it as lifelink.
Yeah. Just like they will... I agree. Like, yeah, I didn't know about this land stuff. And if someone tried to do that with me, I'd be like, you're cheating. You know? I feel like that's not right. And if it is right, I'd feel like you're rules lawyering me. I don't like this. You know?
Yeah. So anything that does to
It'd be
prevent you from being rules lawyery is good. Sometimes you have to be rules lawyery because your opponent doesn't know what they're doing is gonna lose in the game based on the rules. But
I've played Magic for a long time, and there's all kinds of things that just are obscure and weird that will happen. That you have to know advanced rules to know that it would happen.
Yes,
and I don't want that situation coming up for me to feel like I'm being cheated.
Yes. How long were you playing Magic before you ever heard the term state-based effects?
I think I was out of high school. I'm serious.
Yeah, I know. I mean,
and then because that's when I really started to travel and go to places, and then people were like, "No, it's this." I'm like, "What?"
I thought I knew these rules.
What game is this? Was I playing D&D? Pokemon.
You were playing Pokemon for a while.
For a while, yeah. I mean, I wanted to be cool with all my other friends. You know, peer pressure.
Yeah, I know. One of us here didn't give into it, though.
Yeah, but one of us was a loser, too. Dang it,
one?
it was still me.
We'll say just one, really.
One of us accepted the social standard that he was in. Okay. The other one tried to fight it and failed. Yeah, Pokemon, everybody's doing this. This will definitely make me more attractive to women. Oh, adolescence. So, Magic the Gathering.
This is the kind of high-quality talk you expect from Back to Basics. Not only do you get in-depth rules analysis, but you get to know how pathetic we are.
Which is why you listen. So, overall, positive or negative on your feelings for the rules change? Overall.
Overall, somewhat positive. I really do like the last three we discussed, the sideboard, the indestructibility as a keyword, and the lands rule, because sideboard, I don't think it affects anything.
Yeah.
And it makes it easier for new players to understand.
And it just seems like it should be that way anyway.
Yeah. And indestructibility and the lands rule is how most of your new players that were playing that card anyway, playing those cards anyway,
are going to play that way.
Yeah, are going to play that way. And so all you're actually doing by not having those rules be they are is kowtowing people who want a rules lawyer.
Yep.
And I don't like that. The legend rule and the Planeswalker rule, we will see.
Yeah, I feel like it opens the door for abuse, but at the same time, I really like the idea of not worrying about my Elspeth, you know?
A game that printed Jace the Mind Sculptor, Tendrils of Agony, Dark Ritual for 10 years.
Yeah, true.
Can survive something that is a little abusive.
True, very true.
And they can always change it back. They can also always change it back to say, oh, well, Planeswalker uniqueness is one thing and Legends.
That's true.
Because they've always been separate rules in
That's true.
the rulebook.
And I hated it when someone would play Planeswalker because it was their turn for, like, Jace.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have my Jace in hand, and it's like, great, I have to use my Jace to get rid of your Jace.
Yep.
And you're just so much further ahead.
You know what one card this really takes down the value of?
Nope.
Jace Bellerin, man.
Oh,
there is no reason to play Baby Jace right now.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean...
Because you would play it to
keep the Mind Sculptor off the board.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is no reason to play that card anymore. Well, I guess Jace Mice was bad in Modern. I don't know if Baby Jace is playable in Modern, but...
Well, at least not to kill Big Jace.
Yeah, he's certainly no longer playable in Legacy or Vintage.
Right.
Not even a little bit.
Okay, so I feel like it's positive rules change.
I do too, like I say, yeah. We'll see with the Planeswalker and Legends. We'll see how we feel about that.
Yeah, I mean...
Once we play with it for a little bit, but...
And lore-wise, I don't mind it. You know, just... In my mind, I just split the battlefields and I'm okay. So, it makes sense to me still. Mm-hmm. So I like it.
Yeah.
All right. So long. Farewell. And,
Vita saying goodbye?
Oh, I did say that, didn't I? Go ahead. Subscribe for more. You know what to do. And see you next time.
The Paladin way more. I guess it's an uncommon, so you see it more. But, I mean, I have beat Stolen Identities just by being like... Yeah. Like, I wasn't playing, like, pile drivers, and I was like, Ball Lightning.
In your Goblin deck.
It wasn't even a Goblin deck. It was